We are back for another acceptable casualties battle report. Today we have 1,500 points of the 8th Independent Penal Battalion against Pioneerkompanie. Be back in a second to go over the lists, and we're playing no retreat today. So here we have our 1,500 points of the 8th Independent Penal Battalion. Down here we have our 1IC, 2IC, and Battalion Commissar. Up above them, we have two strafe companies. They have the Commissar, 21 bases, and then attached to each of those, we have 3 of the sappers in this platoon, 2 sappers in that platoon, a flamethrower in each, and a 45 millimeter gun attached to those as well. Over here, we have our strafe mortars with the Commissar and Observer, and above them, we have our 31M Katyushas with Observer. Altogether, 1,500 points. For those of you who don't know, Penal Battalion has a 2-up motivation. We cannot dig in. We don't benefit from prepared positions. The special character, well, I can't pronounce his name, over in this group right here, he can do the 5-up, bring a zombie Russian back from the dead, and he can also field, like he can also go across minefields and barbed wire just like a regular Pioneer team could. So that's what we're looking at right here. 8th Independent Penal Battalion. We'll be back in a second to go over the Pioneerkompanie for the Germans. So here we have our 1,500 points of Pioneerkompanie. Starting up here, we have our 1IC and 2IC. You upgrade them with Faust, Vin, or they? Okay, so they have Faust upgrades. Down here, we have 2 of the Pioneer platoons. Vin decided to attach the MG42s to each of them. He did upgrade this platoon here with the Pioneer wagon, and he took 3 runs of barbed wire for that. He also brought in some Fallschirmjägers, 9 bases right there. I don't think they have any upgrades, or did you give the Faust to the command?
Yeah, every single one of these guys have the SMG Faust upgrade.
Okay. Down here, Vin went with 2 Tigers. They got the Stormtrooper 2-up move. Over here, Vin went with 2 armored flak tracks or flak trucks, and then a unit of Nebelwerfers over here. So altogether, it's about 1,500 points. So we're looking at here for Pioneerkompanie. We'll be back in a second to go over deployment. So here we are, we're back for deployment. We'll go over the objectives first, and then we'll start with the Germans. So we ended up placing one objective down here on the crossroads, and Vin opted to place another objective back there in front of the hotel next to the fountain. For deployment, Vin took one of his Pioneer groups, set him over here at the crossroads with the MG42 by the barbed wire, and then Vin also set the other Pioneer group up over here, and they're all in that building. The MG42 is on the top floor, and then Vin has this first and second floor are completely filled with riflemen. He placed his barbed wire there, and down here, and he's holding his Fallschirmjägers in ambush. So off the table in reserve is going to be the Tigers, the armored flak trucks, and the Nebelwerfers. Down here for the Soviets, the 1st Penal Battalion, 1st Penal Company is right here, attached with the 2IC in the group, right down there. Up over here, we have our Observer for the mortars that are placed in the back corner over there. Our Katyushas are right here. They have the Battalion Commissar attached to them, and their Observer is up here inside the train station. On the other side over there, we have our 1st Penal Company with the 1IC attached to him over there, and they also have the special character. I'll attempt to pronounce his name at some point during the game and completely butcher it. So this is what we're looking at right here. Obviously, I get to attack first. We'll be back in a second to go over Soviets. Top of turn 1. So we are back for top of turn 1 for the Penal Battalion. All we did here was move up our 6. We were tempted to go at the double, but we decided it would probably be in our best interest to move up slowly and maybe make a push a little bit later in the game if need be. So moved up with these guys, moved up 6 with them, ended up staying put with all those guys. Obviously, we can't dig in with anybody because we are strafe companies. In the shooting phase, our Katyushas, we tried to range in over here on the guys in the building and failed to do so, but then we did it with the mortars afterwards. We ended up getting hits on 6 guys in the building, and then the truck. Vin made his 5-up save to keep the truck on the table, and then Vin failed like 2 or 3 saves for the guys in the buildings, but I wasn't able to dig anybody out with my firepower tests. So that's pretty much all that happened here. Oh yeah, I did fire 1 shot down here with the 45 millimeter into the building. No, I didn't. That's right. I tried to, but I needed 7s, not 6s, so I couldn't do it. So that's everything that happened for top turn 1 for the Soviets. Be back in a second to go over bottom 1 for the Germans. So we are back for bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. In this turn, Vin failed to unpin the Pioneer group right there. He didn't pop his ambush, so everybody kind of just stayed still. They went to shooting. They fired the MG42 right here, down into there, and Vin also fired the one from the top window right there into the same platoon. So Vin had 9 shots to dump in there. I think he hit on like 5 or 6, and I failed 1 save, and I lost an infantry base. So that's really all that happened here. He failed to get his reserves in this turn. So we will be back in a second for top of turn 2 for the Soviets. So we are back for top of Soviets turn 2. In the movement phase, we just moved both of the strafe companies up 6 inches. We ended up keeping our 45 millimeters back so they could fire. In the shooting phase, we dropped our Katyusha bombardment on top of the house. We were able to range in and hit. Vin made the save on the truck again somehow, and then
Awesome.
then failed to save with his MG42, so he got peeled out because I got the 1-up firepower, and then he made another save with the infantry base in there, but the unit continues to be pinned. We also ranged in with the mortars and dropped on there, but Vin made all your saves but 1, right? And I didn't get firepower test on that, so they weathered the storm pretty well there. I've also fired. Oh no, sorry, I wasn't able to fire the 45 millimeters at the house over here because the rest of the platoon was still gone to ground and dug in besides the MG42 who was killed, so I couldn't fire at them because I needed 7s. But the guy down here, I was able to fire 3 shots into this MG42, and Vin rolled a 6-up to save his bacon. So that's what we're looking at here for the top of turn 2 for the Soviets. We'll be back in a second to see if the Germans get some reserve rolls in, and they got that ambush sitting there too, so we'll be back in a flash. So we are back for Germans bottom 2. In this turn, Vin had 2 reserve dice, and he ended up getting in his Nebelwerfers. Next turn, he'll automatically get at least 1 unit in. In the movement phase, obviously they moved up, weren't able to really do anything. The observer is inside a little smokehouse over there in the hotel. Clear line of sight pretty much going down that whole table edge. They unpinned over here, and these guys just stayed as they were. In the shooting phase, the only one that opened up from this platoon right here was the MG42. He had 5 hits down here, and Vin peeled off 3 of the infantry bases out of this squad, all SMG teams, nobody special. Up over here, Vin had 6 rifle shots from the Pioneers that are in the building right there through all the windows, and I think you killed 1 base, right, Vin?
Yeah, you made like 4 saves.
Yeah, I made 4 out of 5 saves, so they held up pretty well over there on that side as well. So obviously nobody's pinned here. You need to get 10 hits to pin these guys. Well, right now, as the game goes on, it's going to dip down a little bit. So we'll be back in a second for the top of turn 3 for the Soviets. I think we're going to be able to get in an assault range, do a little bit of punchies this turn, so we'll see how that goes. Be back in a flash. So we are back for the top of turn 3 for the Soviets. In this turn for the movement phase, we pushed up our 1 battalion, our 1 company down here, 6 inches. We pushed up those guys 6 inches, and then obviously our mortars and Katyushas stayed put. In the shooting phase, we fired a Katyusha bombardment. It was down here. We were able to dig out the MG42, which was pretty huge. Oh wait, but did we shoot that, or was that the 45?
Yeah,
okay, all right. And then we fired the mortars into the building over here. I gotta put the roof back on. We weren't able to do any damage, but we did pin them. In the shooting phase, we ended up missing with that 45 mil shooting into this building, and then the other 45 mil down here. We ended up, I think, missing, or Vin made a save down here. In assaults, we were able to just get in range over there. We were able to push Vin back and beat him out of the buildings here. We killed 2 of the bases, but I think in return we lost 3, right?
I think you only lost 2.
2 or 3. Okay. So yeah, we lost 2 or 3 in the process. During consolidation, Vin pushed back to that fence line back there for a second line of defense, and I just stayed huddled up behind this building here, just trying to stay out of firing range. So that's what we're looking at here for the top of turn 3. Vin has 1 unit coming in automatically from reserves. Still hasn't popped his Fallschirmjäger ambush, so we'll see how things play out here at bottom 3 for the Germans. So we are back for bottom of turn 3 for the Germans. Was it? Yeah, it was bottom 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this turn, Vin had his half tracks come in out of reserve. In the movement phase, Vin was able to unpin these guys. Failed to unpin them, but in movement, instead of sitting there and trying to dig in and weather the storm, he decided to fall back to the fence line there and move away from the infantry over there. In the shooting phase, Finn fired a couple rifle shots down here. I think I made all my saves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I made all my saves from that. And then down here, Vin had a couple more rifle shots, and I think I lost 1 guy from this platoon over here. Vin also had his Nebelwerfers, using the observer who's in the house over there, was able to range down on that far side, and Vin dropped the Nebelwerfer barrage and killed 4 guys, and that unit is now pinned. But I'm motivated on a 2-up, so hopefully my dice won't fail me that miserably next turn. So we're looking here at the top of turn 4 coming up. I'll be back in a second for the Soviets. So we are back for top of turn 4, right? Yeah, it's top of turn 4 for the Soviets. This turn was just full of ridiculous. So in the movement phase, we pushed up over here, and we were able to take out one of the barbed wire over there with the sappers. I kind of just pushed everybody over here in the cover. Down over here, you see a platoon missing over here. We'll get into that in a minute. They pushed up to this area over here. The shooting phase, Katyushas and mortars, they fired a couple bombardments into the areas over here. We killed, how many bases? We killed 3 bases, didn't we?
Yeah.
With the mortar bombardment from the guys that were on the fence there. 2. But it was enough to force a motivation test, and they broke off the table. Then the Katyusha, they failed to range in on the platoon that was over here. I guess we'll look at assaults right now. So the platoon that was here, that's the 2 I see left. The platoon that was standing over here was able to get into close combat pretty much across the entire front. We were able to assault empty position that was left there from a kill from the SMG team that we had, and we took those guys out, and then we assaulted the position. Vin counter-assaulted, killed a couple bases, and then we did some pretty heavy damage in the assault. I think Vin only had 2 bases left.
Killed like 4 each.
Yeah, 4 each. Vin failed to motivate to get back into the fight, and then failed his morale test because he only had 2 bases left, which totally opened the door for me to take this objective right here. I had to take a morale test because I was below 50%. I rolled a 1, commissar rolled another 1, and my 1 IC was way over there, so I couldn't even bring him in to save their bacon. So that entire platoon, I think between sappers, flamer, and remaining strafe company guys, there was probably like 10 or 12 guys still left in that platoon, and they all went bye-bye. So that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's a good way to start the new year for the Germans.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, fantastic. So open the door for Vin on this one to come back in here. So we'll be back in a second for bottom turn 4. Vin still has the Fallschirmjägers. He has no Pioneers left, but he still has that Fallschirmjäger ambush waiting to get popped. So we'll be back in a second to see how that goes. So we are back for Germans, bottom turn 4. Vin is still holding his Fallschirmjägers patiently, waiting for the right moment to strike here. The Tigers did come in this turn automatically on the far table edge, way over here. Movement phase, Vin rolled those guys up. He also rolled up the armored flak trucks right here to hold that objective over there. In the shooting phase, they shot down here where the 2 IC was. They got 4 hits. I made 3 out of the 4 saves, but that's not enough. So 2 IC is dead. Nebelwerfer back there was able to range in down here. He got 4 hits, and I made 4 saves, but the unit's pinned because that's just the way it works. And over there, the 2 Tigers fired 2 of their cannon shots, and I made my save, right?
Yeah.
I made my save and got one hit, and I ended up making my save back there. So we're looking here, top turn 5 coming up. It's getting a little interesting here. Not a lot of infantry left on the table. Mostly just support, so we'll see how it goes. Be back in a flash. So we are back for bottom of turn, or top of turn 5 for the Soviets. This turn in the movement phase, we just kind of punched through right there, took out that last bit of barbed wire with the sappers, and then positioned ourselves along the fence line over there. Back down here, since we had nobody in range, we decided to just roll up with the mortar teams up there. We went at the double, moved over here. In shooting, we had the Katyushas. We ended up ranging in and hitting our bombardment right here, and they have top armor 0, and ended up making both saves. That was pretty huge. Keep those guys over here. And then we had our 45 millimeter gun. We moved them over, fired one shot, and we were able to kill the 2IC because Vin didn't have him dug in. He was just sitting there. So that's really all that happened this turn. I was contemplating going at the double, but I'm not going to push my luck. I got to kind of play it a little bit safer right now. So we'll be back in a second for bottom turn 5 for the Germans. See what happens. So we are back here for the bottom turn 5 for the Germans. In the movement phase, Vin just took one of those armored flak trucks and swung it over here to get a little bit better positioning along the fence line over there. Still holding that Jaeger ambush, and he has his 2 Tigers roll up over there. In the shooting phase, machine guns between them and the flak tracks over here. I think you only killed like what, 1 or 2 bases?
With the flat tracks.
Yeah, with the flat tracks and the Tigers. I killed no two dead with the Tigers.
2 dead with the Tigers, 2 dead
with them. And then the Nebelwerfers ranged in over here, and they did a little bit of damage too. I think altogether I lost like 8 or 9 guys out of that platoon. But I think 1 more casualty, and then we're going to start taking motivation tests. So that's what we're looking at right now for bottom of turn 5. Things are getting a little thin here for the Penal Battalion, but we're going to make it work. We're going to make the magic happen right here. Top turn 6. Be back in a second for the Soviets. We are back for his top turn 6, right?
Yep.
Yeah, top turn 6 for the Soviets. In the movement phase, we ended up just staying there, use that mortar team. I was able to get in range, do some support fire, so I didn't really move them up. These guys, instead of pushing my luck against the Tigers over there and working on that hotel in the back, I decided to move everybody down range over here and make a move to assault those flak trucks. I was able to do some damage with the Katyushas. They made some saves. During the assault, pretty much firing, I really didn't do anything. But during the assault, we were able to kind of grind out both of those trucks right there and take them out of the fight and consolidate around this objective over here. Vin was able to kill a couple bases. I ended up passing my motivation to hang in. Now it's just time to wait and see what's going to happen with the Fallschirmjägers and those Tigers. There's a lot to hold off here. So we'll be back in a second for bottom turn 6 for the Germans to see how it goes. We are back for bottom of turn 6 for the Germans. Just the weight of the firepower this turn was pretty brutal. So the Fallschirmjägers were in the hotel. They decided to pop their ambush and come on out. The Tigers swung around over here, and that's pretty much what happened as far as movement goes. In the shooting phase, between the Nebelwerfers, the machine guns from the Tigers, the rifle shots from the Fallschirmjäger, and the SMG shots from the 2IC. No, 1IC. Vin was able to really whittle down that group of guys that was left over here, as well as the unit group of guys that were along that back fence line over there. I think I took like 5 casualties in the shooting phase. Yeah.
Took a lot.
Yeah, and then assaults, I ended up losing the 1 rifle base that was down here to the Tiger, and then the 1IC assaulted over here, and he was able to take out 2 bases in close combat. So yeah, overall, that was a rough one to withstand. All I have left is the 1IC, the Commissar, and my 45 mil sitting back there. But I'm gonna hang in, and we're gonna see what we can do. I can maybe get super lucky here and see what happens, but we're the Penal Battalion, man. We don't retreat. We got to fight this thing all the way through. So I'll be back in a flash for top of turn 7 for the Soviets. So we are back for top of turn 7 for the Soviets. What I ended up doing here was I took the 1IC and that Commissar and I moved them back into the building, because until we do something about these tigers over here. There's really no point in moving those guys out to their deaths. In the shooting phase, we fired the 45 mil that's sitting over there down the Fallschirmjägers. Vin made his save. I got one hit. We also fired our mortars. They were just in range on the front guy. We were able to get a couple hits. Vin made, 3 saves. I ended up killing one and pinning the unit. And then the Katyushas were just out of range, so I just drove them up along the railway over here, kind of parked them, hopefully to get something going for next turn. So we'll be back for bottom of 7 for the Germans, and we'll see how things go. So we are back for bottom of turn 7 for the Germans. This turn was just silly sauce. So Vin ended up taking his tigers and pushing up a little bit. They fired a couple shots it's to no effect in there. Vin had 4 cannon shots and he missed all of them to hit. So I didn't have to make any saves over there, thankfully. Didn't do anything with the Jaegers, kind of just hung out. Back down here, the Nebelwerfers, they were able to range in over here. My mortars, Vin had 5 hits and I rolled 5 up saves successfully, so I didn't take any wounds. I guess that's kind of payback for rolling the ones to lose my first strafe company, but I still don't think I'm gonna have enough on the table to do anything here. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 8 for the Soviets. Oh, man, it's getting tough. I don't know if maybe I'll pull this off, but we'll find out. See you in a flash. So we are back for the top of turn 8 right now. Movement phase, I really didn't do anything as far as movement goes. These guys right here, I stayed gun to ground because I can't really do any damage with any of the stuff that I got on the table right now. The mortars back there were able to unpin. I got a couple hits down here. I was able to range in, but Vin made a save, but they are pinned. The Katyushas, I failed to range in. I was going to try to take those guys out. That's really the only chance I have right now as far as taking these guys off the table. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 8. Got a feeling this is probably going to be the end right here, but we'll see what happens. So we are back for the bottom of turn 8 for the Germans. In this turn, the 2 tigers right here, they kind of just rolled up. They were able to kill my commissar in close combat if they failed to do some shooting over there. I'm sorry, the 1 tiger did fire a shot down here and was able to pop one of the Katyushas down there. The Nebelwerfers back over there fired another shot down here. And this time I was able to make 5 out of 7 saves. Yeah, I think 5 out of 7 saves. So yeah, so they're hanging in there, man. They're hanging in there. Not really doing much, but we're hanging in there. So we'll be back for top of turn 9. I think if I don't do anything cool here, we're probably gonna end up conceding. But I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. So we'll be back top 9. So we are back for the top 9 for the Soviets, and this is just pure shenanigans right here. There's really nothing else to happen. So in the movement phase, down here, I decided to move my 1 IC at the double. I moved them at the double around the back of the building, and I was able to sneak in the contesting range right here. Not that it really makes that much of a difference, but it's a little glimmer of hope. Down there, I had the 1 Katyusha. I was able to range in, and I was able to get a bail on one of Vince's tigers over there. I doubt it's really going to matter because, I mean, as long as the 1's there, it's still bad news for me. And then back there with my mortars, I was able to was I able to range in down here? Yeah, but I didn't do any wounds, right? Yeah. I was able to range in, but yeah, I didn't pin these guys down. So that's pretty much all that happened here for the top of 9. Vin's in a pretty good spot right here. I don't think he really has to worry too much. So we'll be back for bottom of 9. Let Vin do a little bit of mop-up duty, and then we'll probably call it after this. So we are back for the bottom of turn 9 for the Germans, and as you can see, the last glimmer of hope has been snuffed out under the boot of Vin's filthy Nazis. They dumped 16 machine gun shots in there, and the way the dice rolls went, they ended up like Swiss cheese. It wasn't a good ending for the 1 IC and the 45 mil. Back over here, Vin fired that Nebelwerfer down there again and killed 2 more, but couldn't snuff those guys out. And that's pretty much all that happened. The strafe company, I could keep fighting, but obviously this isn't going anywhere, and I'm not gonna punish Vin and make him continue to play this game. I'm not going to punish you guys by making you continue to watch this game. So it's a victory for the Germans. We'll be back in a second to go over the end of game recap and kind of how things played out. Back in a flash. So we're back here for the end of game recap. It's a pretty good game. I think. Well, it wasn't a great game. The 8th Penal Battalion, they're a lot of fun to play, but just not being able to dig in, having to constantly push forward with your infantry. The 2-up motivation's nice, but the support options you get with that list are absolutely terrible. It's really hard to I think win matches with them. Like things just have to go your way. But I think historically, like that's kind of how the list played anyway. It was a bunch of criminals getting thrown into the mix. So, well, not criminals, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like
war criminals.
Yeah, war criminals. So yeah, it's a tough list to play, but it is a lot of fun. I mean, if you go in there lighthearted, just want to throw some dice and have a good time, it's definitely worth doing it for you Soviet players every once in a while. Just just mix it up, do something a little bit different. But let's go into what I was thinking here. So my original plan was to use the Katyushas and the mortars that were placed back here earlier in the game to kind of just bombard this middle building right here and take that out of play as early as I possibly could while I was pushing up with the 2 strafe companies there. Things went pretty well early. I was able to get a decent battle line formed across that road right there. I think what killed me was the company that was on this flank right here. They're able to get into assaults, but those horrible dice rolls, they punished me. I think if I would have been able to keep those guys on the table, I would have been able to put enough pressure on this objective here to really make a good fight of it and probably give me, I don't know if it would give me a victory, but it would give me an upper hand for the middle part of the game right there and force Vin to bring those Fallschirmjägers out and assault with those tanks. And with the amount of sappers I would have had left on the table, I think I would have been able to handle the Tigers. And it would have been interesting to see how the Jaegers would have answered with Nebelwer for support. But obviously that's not how it worked out, so it didn't matter. With the other company that pushed up over there, once the company down here fell, I had to take those guys, and it was really a decision to either push on that objective, and I knew Vin was going to pop an ambush out of either this house or that house when I was walking across that open plain right here, and I was just gotten shredded with what I had left. So I figured I would use the road right here and try to push through and make a play on this objective, and then consolidate around all the houses here and the fence lines to prevent Vin from being able to pop the Fallschirmjäger ambush anywhere close and have to make him push him out far away over there, which worked out. But Vin's 1IC being able to come out here and kill a couple bases in close combat and get me off that objective, and then the Tiger being able to kill somebody there, it really did enough of damage to where I wasn't able to hold this objective or make another push onto it. So things kind of fell apart, I think, because this strafe company ended up falling off the table. But at the same time, I had opportunities, but it's just one of those things where when you're just pushing up with infantry, the 2 infantry battalions, you really don't have much options once you're walking into a wall of machine gun fire. If things don't go well for you initially, it's kind of tough. But almost pulled it off, but almost isn't good enough. So Vin, what are you thinking as far as how your battle plan went and how your defense played out in this game?
Definitely went out really good. First off, I want to thank Adam at Dice of War. These are amazing dice.
Well, I talked to him. I told him to give you the loaded ones because things have been a little rough for you lately. So you should be thanking me, not Adam, as much.
And the markers, by the way. I don't know.
Oh, from War Stuff. Yeah.
Those are. Thank you very much. Those are awesome too. Kind of helps with trying to remember the Tiger skills. That was huge. Anyway, about the defensive line, this pretty much played out exactly how I thought it was going to. I didn't really expect them to obviously hold the line for that long, especially with just rifles. I was originally thinking I was going to bust these guys out, my Fallschirmjäger, in the hotel when you kind of came into range, just to kind of buy myself more time on the front line. But I decided I don't know, probably when you were in this region, like about to assault, that I was going to bring him into this.
Yeah, I think if you had brought the Fallschirmjäger up too early, you would have walked them right into a meat grinder. I mean, they would have been able to hold their own, don't get me wrong, but I think I had 2 full platoons at that point. I think they might have gotten carved up pretty good. I think it worked out better for you that you held them off as long as you did.
Yeah, the thing that kind of surprised me, though, which I think Joe kind of caught on to, while we were playing, I kept talking about the hotel, and he knows not to buy any of my bullshit. But But
Yeah, that comes from experience.
yeah, because of experience. But I wanted them to come over here, so I kind of covered both objectives, and he put one friggin' base.
Yeah,
Right
that
there.
was yeah, that consolidation move after I won that combat, that was literally about just forming a bubble around this objective here and keeping you from popping that ambush anywhere within decent range.
Well, the thing was, like, I wasn't expecting you to even go over here in the first place because his platoon, if you remembered, was all the way on this side. So I was just like, cool.
Yeah, that was literally the only reason I was able to work over there is because it's from consolidations from close combats because
Yeah.
I was so committed to that side. I mean, the assaults that were left on the table were the only reason I was able to swing over there a little bit faster than I did. But before we drag on too long here, like I said, it was a good game. It was a fun game.
Yeah.
You know, I'll probably bring this list out again if I want to punish myself in a couple months and do it again. But it is a lot of fun. I think the Penal Battalion list, I think it does a lot better in theme games. Even this game, even though we rolled out the no retreat mission, it still played out pretty well.
Yeah.
It really did. I think I'm gonna have to get those SU 122s or something like that, just if I want to play this list again to make it a little better because just having the Katyushas and the mortars as your support options. It's rough, man. It really is. The strafe companies are pretty good, but you really don't get anything worthwhile as far as the support slot. So I'm gonna have to, go online and start making a couple more purchases. My wallet's gonna love that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the like or subscribe button, all that jazz that goes with it. Keep an eye out. We post some more of these again next week. Thanks for watching.